RH, quer saber como voar no trabalho? É só usar a Flash. Com a Flash, você concentra toda a gestão de pessoas em um único lugar. Faça a admissão dos colaboradores e solicite mais de 8 categorias de benefícios. Ah, e você ainda pode fazer todo o controle de ponto. Conheça o novo onboarding integrado da Flash em flashapp.com.br.
This is the James Golden Show with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
Welcome, my friends, to the Saturday Morning Vibe. I am James Golden, Bo Snerdley with you. Glad you're here. If you would like to be part of the program this morning, 800-848-9222 is how you reach us, 800-848-9222. Lots of news. And let me just tell you up front, in a few moments, we'll be speaking with America's premier journalist on immigration matters, Todd Bensman from the Center for Immigration Studies. Immigration, thank you, Kamala Harris, is back front and center in the presidential campaign. Before we get to Todd, I just want to mention a story that is atop of the headlines around the world this morning. The Israeli military says they have killed Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah in Beirut, a strike on Hezbollah's headquarters. The IDF confirmed that, and the Israelis are saying this is not the end of our toolbox. John Katsimatidis sent me a great text, and the message is terrorists are being terrorized. And to that point, Iran has called an emergency meeting today. Now, you remember, after the amazing success that Israel had in striking deep in the heart of Iran, Iran promised retaliation. That retaliation on Israel has not yet happened. And today, after the news that their proxy, the leader of their proxy group, Hezbollah, has been taken out by Israel, Iran has called an emergency meeting. Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is convening a high-level security meeting. He'll be meeting with members of the Supreme National Security Council at his compound in Iran. He better hope that's safe. And we shall see what, if anything, comes out of that. I saw another news story earlier this week that basically said Iran is in a pickle here. If they strike Israel the way that perhaps they'd like to, they risk bringing the entire region into war, including the United States. So they're betwixt and between with knowing how to respond to the Israelis. All right, let's move on. Immigration now front and center again in the presidential campaign. We had news this week that confirming what many of us already knew, thanks to the reporting of Todd Bensman and others, that tens of thousands of criminals from Central and South America are in America, thanks to the open border policies of border czar Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Kamala Harris made her what is called the first trip to the border. She went down there once before, but not really at the border. She went close to the border. But she went down there and then did a big speech in Arizona. We'll play some of those bites in a bit. Welcome, Todd Bensman. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Todd, before we talk even about Kamala, there was a big story in the Daily Mail yesterday about you, how you were threatened reporting near the Darien Gap, correct?
Yes, we had a piece run. I wrote it in the Daily Mail that kind of began with this anecdote of my run-in with the Gaitanista Self-Defense Force of Colombia, which was just my way of introducing that organization as the primary controller of all access to the Darien Gap from the Colombia side. They rule the entire region over there with an iron fist, murdering and keeping interlopers out and the government out, and just having total control over the approaches to the Darien Gap, which is a passage that a couple of million foreign nationals have used to get from Colombia, South America to Panama, and then onto our border. So it's a very, very important passage. It's run by the Gaitanistas, who confronted me in one of their hub towns over there a few weeks ago when they saw me filming. I guess I wasn't. I don't have good enough spy training or something. I got caught.
And what did they told you to hand over your camera and walk us through what happened, because it must have been pretty scary for you. I imagine.
Well, I was well aware of these guys, and especially working in that town, and other journalists had warned me, do not come out as a reporter. Just stay, underground as make them think you're a tourist or something. And so I spent the first day over there flying my drone out of the window of my hotel over their operations, and I did pretty well with that. Nobody the wiser, me stashed inside a hotel room. But then I pushed it a little bit further than I should have when I decided to go out onto the ground and film the operatives traffic copping the immigrants coming in off these boats. And that was when they kind of caught me. And, I tried to get away and hide with my interpreter in a little convenience store around the corner, but three big goons came in and surrounded us and detained us and said, hand it over. And who are you? And, it was an interrogation. Now, I had been in and this could have gone sideways. They wanted my phone, which contained my drone footage. And, I could not give it to them, or, they probably would have killed us, I think, or maybe just beaten us or something. But it was not a good situation. And finally, the way it ended was I was able to remind them that there was this other town a few days later where I had gotten their permission, limited permission in that town to operate. And so I just said, hey, I thought that extended to this town too. And then they made some phone calls and confirmed it and let us go without looking at the phone. And we left the next morning and all was well. I lived to tell the tale.
Wow, pretty amazing. Todd, okay, let's talk about the situation at the border right now. You have seen the figures. You have warned us of the figures. By the way, how many illegal immigrants have entered into America since Joe Biden and Kamala Harris came into office?
We think conservatively, probably on the order of 9 to 11 million are actually, cross the border, and another, if you account for some other programs that are sort of illegal or legally dubious admissions programs, and the gotaways that, it's definitely in the 10 to 12 million range that are actually in the country in 3.5 years.
So in 3.5 years, we have had an influx of upward of anywhere between 10 and 12 million people into the United States. What have been the ramifications of that many people crossing America's borders illegally?
Well, everybody can see it. It's right in front of them. For starters, lots of the large northern cities and actually the interior cities, coastal cities, are being driven to the verge of bankruptcy by having to care for them. That's only a fiscal burden, but there are lots of other more intangible burdens, such as the fact that this is very child-centric, this mass migration crisis. So, they're pouring into school districts and creating lots of disruption and fiscal burden there too, bond elections that raise taxes and, the need for ESL teachers, and that's happening all over the place. And, of course, the criminal justice system is absolutely overwhelmed. We're seeing crime of all sorts, violent, terrible crime, DWI, murders, rapes, fraud, all sorts of crime that's hard to really quantify. People entering the prison systems. And then, you have the healthcare systems, which have not been studied yet, but are obvious to people who try to use the system. And so it's really it used to be just a couple of years ago that you could kind of turn a blind eye to the border, but now it's in front of everybody. All Americans are seeing and feeling this. Go to your Home Depot any morning on a Sunday or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and the parking lot is filled with people, desperate to work, and they're hungry. There's no jobs. It's depressing wages. It's putting a huge pressure on the housing market, raising rents and prices. There's a housing shortage all over the country that has been exacerbated by this, driving up prices and costs. It just goes on and on. Every quality of life metric that you can imagine is impacted by this and will be for the next 20 years.
Okay, we have to take a break at this point, and what we're going to do when we come back, we're going to start moving into the Harris visit to the border. She made some astounding statements. She made some astounding promises. She made some astounding claims that, frankly, do not comport with the truth or the reality of the situation that you just described. We'll do all that and more. Todd Bensman is with us. He is with the Center for Immigration Studies. You can find his articles everywhere, not just in Daily Mail, New York Post. So many other newspapers around America rely on Todd's work because he is one of the few journalists that doesn't report behind a desk. He goes firsthand, as you heard, deep not only into Mexico, but past that into Central America, through the Darien Gap. He has been reporting on this for years. He has a book, by the way. I keep it in my studio. Overrun, How Joe Biden Unleashed the Greatest Border Crisis in U.S. History. And this book has been out. How long has this book been out, Todd?
That book published in February of 2023, still quite relevant to everything that's happening right now, because we're in silly season. There's a lot of disinformation about why this thing started.
Wow. So we'll start moving into the Kamala Harris visit to the border. Our border czar for the past 3+ years has finally gone down to the border, which is quite amazing. And she does so weeks before the election. James Golden, Bo Snerdley with you. Steppenwolf takes us in. We will be back. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us if you want to be part of the program this morning. Coming up on today's show, we'll, of course, check in with Princess Diana. Our very own Lizzie Rattoballi will be with us a bit later. And your calls, 800-848-9222 is how you reach us.
This is the James Golden Show. James Golden Show. 4 words that mean business with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
On this day in 1974, Canadian singer Andy Kim goes to #1, not with this one, but with Rock Me Gently. We're playing this one because she co-wrote it, and this is by far the biggest hit that she was involved in. Andy Kim, co-writer of this one by the Archies. Joining us is Todd Bensman, the preeminent journalist when it comes to all matters immigration. Todd, thank you for being with us. Let's turn to Kamala Harris. She went down to Arizona, delivered a speech, and you would think, well, let's see what you think. We begin with Kamala telling us what time it is. Let's listen in. I'll get your reaction, Todd.
And as president, I will work with Congress, at long last, a pathway to citizenship for hardworking immigrants who have been here for years. For years. And deserve to have a system that works. Arizona, it is time for us to turn the page on the ugly battles that have characterized our politics. And it is time to move forward together to achieve real solutions that make our country stronger.
Todd, it's time for us to turn the page. It's all ugly. Right. There's going to be a pathway to citizenship. What's your take on this?
Well, I can tell you from experience, interviewing thousands of immigrants, that the entire world of aspiring border crossers just heard that and are listening to every word she speaks about this promise of amnesty, that if they cross the border illegally and get in, that there's a really good chance under her that they'll be regularized and rewarded with citizenship and green cards and welfare benefits and all of that. And so when a candidate like her says things like this, it creates an irresistible suction on the entire world. That is the kind of talk that caused this particular mass migration crisis, the greatest in human history, the greatest in U.S. history by far. And that's my takeaway. That's what the whole world is listening to that.
Let me just add to what you just said. There was a story earlier in the week that after the elections in Venezuela, the corrupt elections in Venezuela, that now there is more pressure on another surge from Venezuela. People stayed in Venezuela hoping there would be a change there. After Maduro was reelected, the headline, this was an AP story, Venezuelans crossing the Darien Gap say they've lost hope. And the only option they have now is to migrate out of that country. So are you expecting to see even more migration upward into America from Venezuela, Todd?
Yes, I think that will continue. There was a pause. It was a brief pause in outflow. But remember that the vast majority of Venezuelans who are coming to the United States illegally over the border or through these legally dubious parole programs, these admissions programs that have brought in hundreds of thousands by air and over the border, have not lived in Venezuela in many years. They left in 2016, 2017, and there's millions of them that have been living in 15, 20 other countries. So they're not really coming from or fleeing something in Venezuela. They already fled. And they've been coming across for three years straight now because we let them all in. So just as a matter of a point of fact that, you know, they are not fleeing horrible persecution. They are committing fraud by claiming that they are. They've been living in all these other safe countries.
Todd Bensman is with us. Todd, stick around. We're going to resume this. There are a lot more sound bites we have from Kamala Harris. James Golden and Snerdley with you here. It is our Saturday morning vibe. Immigration, top and center in the presidential election campaign. Finally. Don't go away.
The James Golden Show. It's politics, but theater of the mind with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
It almost seems like yesterday, but it wasn't. It was 1980. 1980, the beginning of the 80s. The police go to number one with this one. Don't stand so close to me. It was the third number one single by the police. James Golden, a.k.a. Snerdley, with you. It's the Saturday Morning Vibe. Good morning. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. Todd Bensman is with me. Todd is not only the preeminent journalist when it comes to matters of immigration in America, he's also the author of a book, Overrun, How Joe Biden Unleashed the Greatest Border Crisis in U.S. History. And it is that. Let us return back to Kamala Harris' address in Arizona, and we'll pick it up with this point.
We can, and let me be clear, I reject the false choice. I reject the false choice that suggests we must either choose between securing our border or creating a system of immigration that is safe, orderly, and humane. We can and we must do both. We must do both.
Really? How come you haven't done it? You're the border czar.
And we need clear legal pathways for people seeking to come into our country.
Yeah.
In the 4 years that Donald Trump was president, he did nothing to fix our broken immigration system.
Todd, Donald Trump did nothing when it comes to immigration. Absolutely nothing.
So this segment is very important, actually. It's very telling. What she's saying there is that if she is elected, she will continue with these legally dubious mass admission programs. The flight program that's brought in 650,000 Haitians, Nicaraguans, Cubans, Venezuelans over the border into U.S. airports directly, and another one where they're walking them over the land ports from Mexico that nobody can see any of this. Another 500,000, 1.3 million people they've brought in with these programs that they're going to continue those. They call them lawful pathways. They're actually unlawful pathways. You cannot have an admission system like that is not approved by Congress. Congress has to approve these things. These are under legal challenge. They have been for over a year. Those are winding their way through the courts. Hopefully the courts will rule, the right way on those because they're not legal. They're parole programs. It's an abuse, a terrible abuse, and it's much of it is based on fraud that these people are in some kind of dire humanitarian straits. She just told the American people that they're going to do that if she wins. They're going to keep doing that lawful pathways business. But as far as Donald Trump breaking the system, listen, the system is not broken at the border. The law, it needs a few tweaks. But the White House just simply has to follow the laws that are in place in the Immigration and Nationality Act. It's spelled out. It's clear cut. detention, deportation is mandatory. You can't just flout those. And what they did was they just flout the law and then created their own law on the side. That's what happened here. So everything about what she's saying is just absolutely mind-boggling in the disingenuity, just the fraud and the presumption that the American people who are listening to this are just stupid. They're low information, a lot of them, but most Americans understand that what she's saying.
Let me just go through this with you. We talked about this on previous occasions. You and I have done a few podcasts together, and we talked about this, and I was floored when you explained to me the way that our asylum program works, and it does not work. What happens, is the asylum program functional? Is it doing what it's supposed to do, Todd? How does this work in reality? People come in, and they say, you told me, for instance, let me just back you. You told me that people would come into Mexico. Now, under the law, they're supposed to claim asylum in the first country that they stop in. So people would come from Central America. They'd get to Mexico, for instance. They'd claim asylum. They'd get asylum. Explain the process from there.
Yeah. So, first of all, the law does not, our law, asylum law, this is the tweak that needs to be made in our 1980 asylum law, which is just what you said, that if you pass through a perfectly safe country and claimed asylum, then you are ineligible to claim asylum in the U.S. Our law doesn't have that. It needs to have it. It needs to put that in. Now, Trump put a policy in place, an executive action in place that required it, and it was legally challenged and upheld all the way to the Supreme Court. But the Biden administration reversed it so that now you can have asylum in 2 or 3 different countries, cross into our country and claim it, and we'll release you into the country. So the people that are claiming asylum are not interested in actual asylum. They're interested only in the part where they get to claim it and get released. And then you never hear from them again. And that's really what's going on. Or if they do actually go through with a claim, the backlog of it's so popular that you can be released is, 10 years long to get your claim heard. And then when you are declined, and most of them do get declined, you just disappear. You don't get deported. So that's the game. That's the whole thing with our asylum system. It's just the front end that lets you get past Border Patrol detention and deportation by just saying magic words. That's the problem with our asylum law. That's why we're having this. Trump fixed that through an executive order, but then the Biden administration came right in and unfixed it and broke it. And so that's where we are today. But, most people that are coming in now don't even have to bother with an asylum claim. We just release them on personal recognizance, which is also illegal, and, let them turn themselves in voluntarily later in a city of their choice. Most of them don't bother. No surprise.
Explain to people the role, Todd, that some of the organizations, the NGOs, people hear that all the time, non-governmental organizations, the UN, some of the so-called charity groups. Explain the roles that these have in helping get these millions of people across into the United States of America.
Sure. I mean, I just came from Panama and Colombia on the migrant trails down there. I've seen the same exact thing all the way up from, through Central America, all the countries there, and in Mexico personally, is that the U.S. State Department has just funneled hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars through the United Nations, which passes them through to these non-governmental organizations to set up shop all along the migrant paths down there to provide material aid in the form of food and supplies and legal assistance and shelter, debit cards, cash debit cards transportation assistance. I mean, $1.4 billion just for 2024 for this sort of thing. And I watched it in action just recently, where you had in Gaitanista territory, I was telling you about in the beginning of the show. There they all are working directly with the Gaitanistas and at their suffrage, handing out all sorts of supplies, and they've got storefronts everywhere, money wiring services, and providing supplies, and providing trail conditions, and medical everything. And a lot of Republicans in this country are looking at this, and they didn't know that this was happening at all until I and some other people started reporting it. Are saying defund the UN over this thing. It's all U.S. taxpayer money that is fueling this mass migration crisis of our own making. I mean, it's incredible, and I think that voters don't understand this in a wide way. And Kamala Harris is already out there on record saying that that's the way she's going to double. She's going to double and treble down on that whole thing.
Right. All right, let's go back to the Kamala Harris speech. Let's listen in one more cut from Kamala. Next up, Carlos.
I have met far too many families, parents, loved ones who have lost a family member, a child, to fentanyl. And their grief is heartbreaking. And the devastation caused by fentanyl is being felt from rural communities to big cities. It's impacting communities across our country, regardless of where they are geographically, politically, or any other demographic you choose to talk about. It's a scourge in our country, and we have to take it seriously. And as president, I will make it a top priority to disrupt the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. Our highest charge must be to protect the lives of our people. It must be to understand the pain and to have the courage to know that solutions are at hand.
Todd, I don't even know where to begin with this one. She says the highest charge is protecting the people. You talked about the murders, the rapes. We see it every day across America. We see it in city after city. We see the fentanyl deaths. We read about the fentanyl deaths. The Biden administration has sat on their hands for 3 years while this problem escalated. And now she's saying, oh, elect me. I was the border czar. I was responsible when all this was taking place. But elect me and I'll somehow fix it or another. They go out and they talk about jobs and pathways. I just got another note. Tell union members, wake up. Kamala has flooded the entire country with people that are competitors for union jobs. Yet you have the unions fully backing, some of them, backing her. How do you make sense of all of this, Todd?
Well, first of all, the Teamsters, the rank and file, is clear on this. They are opposed to Harris, the rank and file, and the Teamsters. And I think you can't hide this anymore from the unions. They know what's going on. They're on the street. They're working. They're trying to work. But on the fentanyl comments, I just want to point out that the Harris-Biden people have rarely, if ever, mentioned the fentanyl quote-unquote scourge. She's had 3.5 years to talk about that. This is the first time I'm hearing her ever say anything about that. And it's an effort, a naked effort to pander on a subject, on a topic that she's weak on, and apparently try to move to the center to get those swing voters on something that she knows is highly unpopular about her policies. But I just want to point out that, she ran for president in 2019. She has her whole immigration campaign platform from just a few years ago out there on the internet. You can read it. She spoke about this in speeches and on the debate stage. We know where she stood. She was in the very, very far fringe of the American political spectrum on the left. Extreme immigration positions on illegal immigration, wide open borders, no limits. Everybody gets amnesty, no detention, no deportation, demonized ICE, demonized Border Patrol. She is not in the center on this topic, no matter what she says about fentanyl. Don't be fooled at all by this. It's like saying I'm in favor of fracking when you need Pennsylvania, and then turning around and banning fracking in Pennsylvania. That's what's going to happen here. That's where we are with this talk about fentanyl.
Absolutely. I'm going to take a brief break. Todd Bensman has been kind enough to spend a lot of time with us this morning. We so appreciate it. America's premier journalist when it comes to immigration. And Kamala Harris did this, folks. She put immigration back at the top. We're going to deal with it. On this day, 1938, Ben E. King was born. Ben E., initial E, not Benny, but Ben E. King, of course. He was with the Drifters for a long time and went solo with this one. His biggest hit, Stand By Me, released in 1961. Covered so many times by so many artists. Passed away at age 76 in 2015. Heavenly birthday today. Ben E. King.
Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me.
The James Golden Show. The James Golden Show. It's politics, but theater of the mind with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
Yeah, this must be a lucky day for the police also. 1980, they had Don't Stand So Close to Me. The year before, same day, this one was number one for the police. Message in a Bottle. It never, by the way, went to number one or anywhere close on the U.S. charts. But it was a huge AOR, a huge album-oriented rock hit. The police with Message in a Bottle. James Golden, a.k.a. Snerdley, our Saturday Morning Vibe. Listen, we've got a lot of calls. If you're on hold, just be a little patient with us. We're spending as much time as we can with Todd Bensman because Kamala Harris went out and actually addressed the immigration issue. I guess her handler said, this is an issue, you need to do it. There are a lot of people that think this could be a fatal, politically fatal mistake, bringing immigration back to the forefront. But this is one of the most pressing issues this country has to deal with. And I don't know whether she stepped in or not.
Hello?
Todd, let's listen to the last two cuts that we have from her speech, and then we'll just wrap it up and get your take on these. Go ahead.
So I've just come from visiting the border and the port of entry in Douglas. I spoke with dedicated agents from Border Patrol and customs officers who every day see the overflow of commercial traffic through the port. These men and women who work there and at other places along our southern border help keep our nation secure. And they need more resources to do their jobs.
Oh, then why haven't you given them? These people can find $60 billion here, another $10 billion here to send over to whatever, but they can't do it. Do we still have Todd? Todd says okay. He says he can't hear us. So anyway,
anyway, I got you. I lost your audio.
Okay, there you go. Okay, Todd. So here's this woman saying, all of a sudden she's in love with Border Patrol. They need more resources. And then we had one other one. What was that last one? Or was that it?
But Donald Trump tanked it. He picked up the phone and called some friends in Congress and said, stop the bill. Because, you see, he prefers to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And the American people deserve a president who cares more about border security than playing political games and their personal political future.
All right. Donald Trump tanked their so-called bipartisan immigration bill. We got 2 minutes, Todd. What about it?
Okay. This is an absolutely dead false narrative that relies on low information voters to be confused. The Lankford bill proposed doing the exact opposite of border security. It would have codified, it would have increased how many illegal crossings we will allow from the current 0, which Congress approved, to 1.8 million illegal border crossings a year before any sort of enforcement would kick in. And the enforcement that would kick in was completely discretionary. It's not even required. So it's a non-starter from the get-go that you would allow 1,500 crossings, 5,000 crossings a day, every day for 7 days before you might put in some enforcement. The Border Patrol agents that they're talking about hiring would have been hired to help process those people in, not to stop and block, but to process them in. It would have provided millions and millions of dollars to the NGOs that we're talking about to help move them all in. They're already making billions of dollars as it is. That's why this is happening. That bill was absolutely the worst possible thing for the United States. It would have transformed border security to border insecurity. Completely terrible bill.
This is amazing that she can stand up and just say these things, and there will be absolutely zero pushback in most of the mainstream media. But thank goodness you're out there.
This is a 400-plus page bill. Most reporters have not even read the thing. You can tell. There's no fact-checking going on.
Todd Bensman, thank you. I'll tell people how to reach you. Todd Bensman, Center for Immigration Studies.org. You can just Google Todd Bensman, Bensman. Todd, thank you so much. We'll be back.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
This is the James Golden Show with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
Hour number one in the can, of course. Hour number duo now underway. James Golden, it is our Saturday morning vibe. You are welcome. And if you've been on hold, apologies for keeping you waiting so long. You still have a little bit to wait. Not much longer. We'll be taking some telephone calls. 800-848-9222 is the number to reach us. This and every Saturday morning on our Saturday morning vibe. 800-848-9222. I want to thank Todd Bensman again. Folks, I tell you, there are very few journalists like the man that you just heard. As you no doubt may have heard if you were with us from the beginning, he's going into places that most journalists will not go into. Behind the lines. There's nobody that I have met, read, that is more informed about America's border crisis, immigration policy than Todd Bensman. from the Center for Immigration Studies. And the Center for Immigration Studies, you can find CIS.org. Todd Bensman, thank you so much. Our own Lizzie Rattoballi is with us, a Red Apple Media News anchorette. Chief anchorette. Hi, Lizzie.
Good morning. How are you?
I am fine. Lizzie, last week you talked to me about, and all of us, about a scam that happened with the vegan community. They had this big event out in Queens. They're standing online for hours and hours. Not even water, not allowed to bring in water. The vegans are having a hot day. Scam. It reads like a scam. I'm not saying it is, but that's the way it came across. What is this show on Netflix?
Yeah. Okay. So it seems like scams are kind of like the only thing that bring us together anymore. That's the one piece of monoculture we have left, is these insane stories about people getting absolutely duped. Bridgerton is this show on Netflix. It's kind of, it takes place in this fictional world in like the like mid-century. I've never actually seen this show, Bridgerton. It's huge. Like a lot of people I know have seen the show, but when things are like that,
this looks like another one of these. Like if you like those shows like Pride and Prejudice, all those kind of aristocrat from the Gilded Age shows. This looks like another one of the Gilded Age shows. Very
Downton Abbey like. But when shows like that are like so popular on streaming services, honestly, I get kind of, I get squeamish about even wanting to watch it. I don't have any interest. A lot of times, just to be a contrarian, I'm like, I'm not watching that show. Everyone's watching that show. I do not care about it. But Bridgerton is huge, and it has a lot of super fans, and because it takes place in this immersive fictional world, there are also all these events kind of themed around Bridgerton. They have these tea parties or these, different galas or balls where they throw, Bridgerton themes around and kind of, try to get the fans of the show to come out to these events. And it turns out there was one in Detroit that was super disappointing to people. They paid from anywhere $150 to $1,000 for a ticket. And what they saw, first of all, this event was postponed days before it was supposed to happen. It was pushed back a month because they said they had some issues with the venue. It was supposed to be originally August 25th. Got pushed back to September 22nd. Now, when it actually did happen, lackluster reviews. People said that the decorations were something that you would get from the dollar store or Temu. They claim that...
Wait a minute. So this is supposed to be the height of opulence. You're supposed to almost walk into an 18th century Gilded Age environment that just looks so... the height of what it must have been to live in the Victorian era or some of the other eras where you have this just beautiful, beautiful imagery.
Yeah, the words directly from the company that was putting on this event was it was supposed to be an evening of sophistication, grace, and historical charm. Now, what they actually got was a pole dancer. A singular pole dancer was the form of entertainment at this event that's supposed to be, taking place in the Gilded Age. They had a singular pole dancer doing a routine to a singular violinist as the
So
music.
Instead of an orchestra with the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful symphony music, the symphonic music.
Yeah, or like ballroom dancers.
A violin player with the pole dancer.
You would expect some sort of ballroom dancing, or if there's going to be any sort of entertainment, something of that time, like I don't know, maybe like a court jester. I don't really know what they really did for fun back then. But a pole dancer, definitely not it. In one of the videos I actually saw, I'm obsessed with this story. There was a very long Twitter thread about it with firsthand account videos. And someone says in the video, they show the pole dancer and they say, "I don't remember this in Bridgerton." That really just summed it up. I mean, a lot of the things, the sights seen at this event, you would not see in Bridgerton. I mean, Netflix would not.
I love this description, Lizzie. Photos and videos from the event show fans dressed to the nines. So they're in their tuxedos. They're in their ballroom gowns.
Yeah, some people paid.
Standing in a bare bones room at the historic Harmony Club in Detroit with decor described as Temu decorations.
Yeah, people paid up to, there was one story of a woman paying $300 for her dress. She paid $300 for her dress to show up to this event where they probably didn't even spend $300 on the decorations in total, to be honest. I mean, from the pictures, it was for the backdrops of the photos, it was a tablecloth. It was simply a tablecloth, a plastic tablecloth that had roses printed on. They couldn't even get fake roses as a backdrop. They had a printed rose pattern as their backdrop. And, it's just very, reminiscent of a lot of stories we've seen so far this year. I mean, we covered that vegan fest that was compared to Fire Festival. And also earlier in the year, I don't know if you remember that huge Willy Wonka scam over in the UK. Honestly, like the Schadenfreude of these stories are the one thing that I think everyone can still get behind and laugh about. I mean, horrible for these people.
I feel sorry for these people. I'm not trying to laugh at them, but the idea that someone would actually...
And they were promised a $2,000 prize, by the way, for like best costume. And nobody knows if the winners of that costume actually got the money. And it's, this was a week later now. So they still don't know if the winners got the money from that $2,000. But yeah, they paid a lot of money. And there have been several other events where they throw, a Bridgerton style party, and those are legit. I mean, and those are expensive too. Tickets for those events in San Francisco going for like $400 a pop. But, this one, huge bust, $150 to $1,000.
Well, the organizers of the event, listen to the name of the company that threw on the event, Uncle and Me, LLC. Uncle and Me, LLC.
Not a very legitimate.
There's your first clue. There's your first clue. Uncle and Me, LLC, threw the big event, and they said in a statement after the news contacted them, "We understand that not everyone had the experience they hoped for at our most recent event." They said they're working diligently to address all the concerns.
Yeah, and apparently this is not the first time this company has actually done this. Apparently they threw an event back in June when it was a huge disappointment as well. I mean, they must have learned their lesson, though, because on the website for the tickets where you get for this most recent event, it said no refunds, printed very clearly. So they kind of knew what they were getting themselves into.
Gosh.
They were gearing up for the disappointment.
Uncle and Me, LLC. Okay, last little interest for those of you in the metropolitan areas. Apparently, we've been hearing about the New York rat situation for ages. Rats overrunning certain neighborhoods. I mean, not small rats either. The Norway rats. They're like the size of some people's kittens.
When I've seen a rat in the city, I fully thought every time I think that it's a raccoon, but I have to do a double take, and it is a rat.
Rats the size of raccoons. So New York now has a way that they're going to deal with the rats. What are they going to do with them, Lizzie?
Well, I guess they're going to plan B in a way. They're going to give contraceptives out to rats because it was in part inspired by animal activists who were upset at a recent death of a owl, Flacco the owl, who made headlines recently this past year for escaping the Central Zoo, died because apparently they
ate
rat poison. So, there are a lot of traps all throughout the city. I mean, any sort of green space, you could spot these little black boxes. And normally in those boxes, they have poison. They have rat poisoning. And so people are upset. They say that's inhumane. That's not a good way to deal with the rats because other animals get into those traps, which, lead to their death, like Flacco the owl. But so now they're kind of looking at a more humane way of just stopping the spread and curbing any sort of, procreation within the rat community.
So they're going to give them birth control.
They're going to give them birth control. Who's
going to give the rats the condoms?
They're putting them in these rat traps, and they appear.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
Yeah, they're
ingestible birth control.
Exactly. So they're swapping out the ingestible poison with this contraception. It's actually called Contrapest. There is a special already made rodent birth control, and it's going to be put in these special containers. And there's
I have a question for you.
Yep.
What happens when the other animals start eating rat birth control?
Only time will tell. Science has not really seen that one through. Maybe there will be some sort of hormonal changes within the other rodents. Maybe we'll see like a decline in maybe feral cats. Maybe feral cats will possibly, we'll see that population kind of fall a bit. But the Department of Health is also going to be in charge of tracking the rat contraception in these traps. They're going to be going around and monitoring to make sure that these rats are actually ingesting this contraception.
That's comforting, Lizzie. Thank you, Lizzie.
Always.
Yeah. And why do the rats need ingestible birth control? Simple. Papa, their daddy rat, was a Rolling Stone. That's why. Too much of that saying going on. Anyway, this is the anniversary of the Temptations releasing their big one from Motown. The Temptations version of Papa Was a Rolling Stone, which of course became a huge hit for them. Went to number one. The Undisputed Truth had recorded the song first. Written by Norman Whitfield and Barrett Strong. James Golden is our Saturday Morning Vibe. Your calls are coming up. You've been on hold a while. We'll get you some calls. And we've got a lot more. Princess Di is going to join us in a bit. Keep it right here. The Saturday Morning Vibe continues. Yeah, the introduction goes for about 20 minutes. So don't worry about it. This song is there.
This is the James Golden Show. James Golden Show. 4 words that mean business. With James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
On this day in 1991, one of the giants, the true giants in American music, passed away. Miles Davis. Trumpeter, bandleader, composer. He is one of the most influential musicians, not only from America, but of the entire 20th century. Kinda Blue. Birth of the Cool. So many other albums that made Miles a household name in America. Miles Davis passes away on this day in 1991. James Golden, Bo Snerdley with you. Telephone time. Let's head out to California and check in with Ronnie. Ronnie, welcome. How are you? Thank you for your patience.
Hi, Bo. I set my alarm clock just for on Sunday morning.
You're so kind. Thank you.
Morning. I had not listened to any of her comments at the border. I initially called about the tax issue, but my blood is boiling. I, for the life of me, being a black woman, cannot understand why she, with aspirations to be a president someday, if she had any kind of disagreement with Biden pertaining to the border or the taxes or any other issues that she deems important, why she would not make that an issue behind the scenes and have some type of record where, it could be verified that this is where we had agreements. I would be doing everything in my power to change some of his positions, and having the legal knowledge to do some of that stuff. I just don't understand why she's sitting there acting so inconsistent. Well, I do understand because she's inconsistent in terms of, the border position. She's trying to distance herself from the drug mules coming across the border, wreaking havoc because it's wide open, and without talking about, the immigrants coming over that she allowed over, flew over, and has decimated, so many communities. So I'm just livid. I'm really livid.
Let me ask you a question on this, Ronnie. Are you a homeowner by any chance?
Yes.
Okay. I want you to listen to something. I played this during my weekly show. I want you to listen to this idea, and let me give you the backtrack, you and everyone else, the setup for it. In Maine, property taxes in that state for the last 5 years have been steadily going up. They are now up in some cases, the most extreme cases, property taxes have risen 60%. 60% increase in the last 5 years. In most cases, it's somewhere upwards of anywhere between 10 and 25%, 10 and 20%, I think, actually. So property taxes are up. They are up because of the influx of migrants. Play this real quick. We're running out of time. The Portland mayor addressed this at a community meeting. Listen.
And it's really unfortunate. I'm really sad, and my taxes are going up too, and have every year for the last 5 years. Seeing as our property values are so high, seniors may want to consider a reverse mortgage. It's I know it's an ugly word, but there are. I'm just saying. I know it's horrible, but it's sort of a last resort.
Did you hear that? You should get a reverse mortgage. Your taxes are so high.
Yeah, so much
Lose
for generational
all the equity
wealth
in your home.
She talked about.
Right.
My goodness.
That's right, Ronnie.
I'm just livid. But, Bo, Jim...
I got to run. We got a hard break here, my I'm so sorry. Got to run. We're coming back, ladies and gentlemen. Keep it right here, 800-848-9222. Do not go away. Bo Snerdley Saturday Vibe continues right after these words.
The James Golden Show. It's politics, but theater of the mind with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
On this day in 2009, Lucy Vodden passed away. Lucy Vodden, yes. Lucy Vodden was the childhood friend of John Lennon's son, Julian. She had lupus. She passed away. She was only 46 years old. Lucy Vodden was the inspiration for this song. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Julian showed his father a drawing he made in nursery school. He called Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. He drew Lucy, drew diamonds in the sky, and that was the inspiration for Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, the song. This record created such a stir. Why? The initials, LSD, Lucy Sky Diamonds. The rumors spread like wildfire that this song was really about tripping on LSD. That was not the inspiration for the song. The Beatles, James Golden, Snerdley here with you. Heading back to the telephones really soon, but I do want to play something else, and thank you for your patience on the phones. The Springfield thing is not over. They continue the narrative that Republicans are racist, all you racist people, well, Donald Trump, talking about eating cats and dogs, and you're vilifying the Haitians. The Haitians have moved out. There was some member of Congress, some local weed, that is claiming Donald Trump should be arrested for domestic terrorism because of what he's done to the Haitian community, et cetera, et cetera. I want you to listen back to a resident of Springfield, Ohio, at the most recent commission meeting that they had in the town of Springfield. This guy, well, let's just listen together.
I want to say this, and I'm going to say it as succinctly and as plainly as I can. Everything that's happened in this city in the last 2 weeks are your fault. In March of this year, I brought to the commission about domestic animal abuse.
What?
Gave you where to look.
What?
Nobody looked.
What?
Nobody. I've been harping since September of last year about towing vehicles driven by unlicensed drivers. It's still happening today. I was told by the Springfield City Police Union leader that it's a command decision not to tow. The ORC says otherwise. Every other jurisdiction around here tows without a license. There is video evidence. In fact, back to my domestic animal abuse, you guys even admitted during that meeting you heard the same thing. But then the city manager comes on TV and says there's never been a report of it.
What?
So when something's identified and brought to the attention of those who can fix it, that's an incident. That's a report. Direction was given. Nothing was done. Mm-hmm. I take personal offense. City manager impugn my background.
Direct your comments to me, Mr. Sanders.
I take offense. The city would impugn the background and the trustworthiness of anybody on this side of the lectern for the last year, because that's what happened on national TV, and I demand an apology to me and everyone else who's spoken behind this one and that one and attended these meetings. Because if he can't do that, he's ill-equipped to be in the position he's in, and he should resign. I think no more needs said.
They have been complaining. You hear it. Others were complaining about the abuse of domestic animals in Springfield. And according to this gentleman, this resident, at one of the meetings even, and I can't wait to see if we can uncover the audio from that, the city manager said, yeah, we've heard about these problems from other residents. But they get on national TV, oh, it never happened. Oh, it never happened. And that's the narrative. J.D. Vance and Donald Trump, they're racist liars. They're liars. This stuff never happened. This man from Springfield says this has been a problem. He alerted to it in March. It went back even further. And the city managers there agreed that they had been hearing the same thing. They were alerted to this problem. Now, he's talking about these towing unlicensed vehicles. The immigrant community there have been so many incidents of people saying that people are walking in, they don't know how to drive, they're given licenses, no one knows how, And it's created traffic nightmares, accidents like crazy. Again, this is on record from the residents of Springfield, Ohio. But you don't read anything about that. You don't see it because they would rather have the narrative that Donald Trump, J.D. Vance are a bunch of racist white guys that hate the Haitians, immigrants, and that's the narrative they want to run with. Here is another resident of Springfield, and this is also mind-blowing.
I can tell you personally that when I worked at the grocery store and I cashed them out, the receipts were alarming. $13,000 on EBT food, not including the $29,000 that was on EBT cash. It's infuriating. Yes, sir.
So they're not getting $600.
And while they're dressed very well, how are you able to dress like that? Coming over here as running for help that we're supposedly helping them, how are you dressed like that when we, the American people, are scrapping for the next set of work boots? That's a problem. That's a serious problem.
Now, she says she worked at, okay, if you're not following this, she says she worked as a cashier at a grocery store, people coming in. We're talking about the immigrant community that was shipped there with upwards of anywhere from $13,000 to $29,000 on EBT cards. You're paying for that. How does that happen? While residents like her are scrapping to make ends meet. Again, this is not the narrative that you're hearing. The only narrative you're hearing, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and by extension, you. All of you are a bunch of racists. How dare you complain about the immigrants that have come and overwhelmed the city of Springfield. Back to the telephones we go. Let us go with Sandra in New Jersey. Sandra, welcome. How are you?
Oh, good morning, James. I'm fine, thank you. I wanted to say I enjoyed listening to Todd. What I got from him is basically she's going to continue this legal pathway for the immigrants, and I think that's important for us to remember. Also, I did a little, looking around, and I came across something very interesting. The RNC and the North Carolina Republican Party sued the state election board over voter registration. The America's Vote Act was violated. So for North Carolina, they came out with 747,000 registrants that they're not good votes. Like 2,900,000 were removed because they were duplicates, 246,000 inactivity, 130,000 deaths. And then also in Ohio, they purged 137 non-citizens. And if we go with Dick Morris's VoteLegalFund.com, these people will be deported because they came, they're not U.S. citizens. And then also in Texas, 1 million ineligible voters were purged. So whatever they're doing, I'm hoping for a domino effect. I mean, I know it's just a drop in the bucket, but it's something, James.
Well, it is not a drop in the bucket, number one. North Carolina has 7.7 million registered voters. Now, that doesn't mean that they're all going to show up to the polls. So when you remove 747,000 of those voters because they are ineligible, it does have an impact on the state. Okay? And those removals came within the last 20 months. They said the majority of those stripped from the rolls were deemed ineligible to be registered because they had moved, as you said, within the state, didn't register to their new address, because they didn't participate in either the last two federal elections, which means they're inactive voters, and then there were other causes for the removal of those people, like felony convictions, out-of-state moves, and personal requests to be moves. But it is a significant number, 747,000 people removed from the rolls of North Carolina. And I haven't even talked about this business going on with Mark Robinson there. Quite frankly, I don't know what to make of it. He was injured, by the way. He has second-degree burns, was taken to a hospital. I don't know what that full story was. Tried to get details on it. The details are scant. If they become available, we'll let you know. Sandra, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Yonkers in New York and talk with Teddy. Very briefly, Teddy, how are you?
Good morning, James. I haven't spoken to you in more than a year and a half. James, I got to be candid with you. The only thing that I really like about your show is when you play the Temptations and the Motown Stars, okay? Because that's real music.
It, huh?
Okay?
Thank you.
They are the best. But, James,
yes,
your radio station, and I'm against the far left.
This is a syndicated program, so it's multiple radio stations, my friend, all around the country.
Okay.
But anyway, Teddy, okay, your point is?
Okay, my point is there should be a mixture of viewpoints from, and I don't want to use the word left, I don't want to use the word right, from both sides of the aisle, okay? Let's use that terminology, both sides of the aisle.
Yes,
James, Menendez was found guilty, and he's probably going to go to prison, but I don't know what the judge is going to decide. Adams had his hand in the pot, and now it's going to be...
Well, we don't know that. There is a presumption of innocence from Mayor Adams of New York.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, let's not say he had his hand in the pot yet. Let's say that's what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris DOJ is alleging after he started complaining about illegal immigration and they put the target on his back.
Prove that. Okay, James? You cannot prove that that's the reason.
Okay, let's Teddy, hold on. See, I always love your calls. Let's walk through it, okay? Let's walk through what happened. So, Eric Adams was calling himself the Biden of Brooklyn, and Biden and they all loved Adams. Second black mayor of New York City, black guy in charge of the biggest city in America, the most recognizable city name, maybe besides Paris, but I think New York has it, in the world. I mean, there are 4 or 5 big cities, we know. Most are your biggest city, okay? People say New York. They'll say Paris, say London, whatever. Here's Eric Adams, Tokyo. Can't leave out Tokyo. Shanghai. Beijing. Okay, so Eric Adams everything's tickety-boo with Adams and the Democrats until he says, these illegal immigrants in my city are wreaking havoc on our... We have to stop this. That went directly against Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's immigration narrative. They ignored him for months. They wouldn't even answer him. He kept demanding, I need to talk to you people. We've got to talk this through. I need help here. The immigrants are overrunning New York. They finally say, okay, Adams, we'll let you in the big house. You can come to the big White House. You can come to the big house. Adams flies down to D.C. He's going to finally, after months and months and months of complaining about the immigration problem, he flies down to Washington, D.C. They let him in. Okay, you're here, Adams. You can see Massa. They let him in. You can see the Massa. They sit him down. No. You don't have to take off your shoes. Those are Bruno's. You can leave them on. We're going to let you see Massa in a few minutes, Adams. Got a few more minutes. Before Adams could get in to see his Massa, all of a sudden he gets a call. Ring, 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 ring. Oh, somebody's calling me on the telephone. Picks up the phone. Yo, they're raiding they're raiding. The FBI's doing raids. Yeah, your campaign. They're raiding your peeps, man. Adams had to leave. He didn't even get a chance to see the Massa. And then we learned later on that Joe Biden's FBI, the Harris's DOJ, they stopped the mayor of New York. They told his security people, step aside. They put Adams in the back of his SUV, and they took his phones, they took his iPads, and they said, good luck, pal. Now, you're telling me, Teddy, that is non-related. It was a message. Oh, yeah? You want to question us about immigration? We got something for you, bro. You're telling me that that's not the way to look at this, huh, Teddy?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to react to that statement, okay? You still didn't give me proof beyond a shadow of a doubt, okay, that was the reason. But I know this for a fact, okay?
Fact.
Trump is a pathological liar.
How
like
did this
you
get to
want
be
to
Donald
accuse
Trump?
Menendez of things, fine.
I didn't even
got
mention
no
Menendez.
problem
You
with
did.
that. But call it
Menendez.
an ace is an ace and a spade is a spade, okay?
Hey, no racist language here. You're talking to a black guy. You don't sit and talk to a black guy and start talking about spades being spades. Come on, Teddy, I would think you would be more politically correct than that.
Word massa, like you just did. Okay?
What?
You used the word massa when
I
Adams
used
went
the
to
word
White
massa.
House. Take off the
I used
shoes.
the word massa. Joe Adams was at the big White House. That's different than you telling me spades are spades. Why are you going to talk about spades here? Who you calling a spade, Teddy? I love you, man, but come
an
on,
ace is an
Teddy.
ace and a spade is a spade, okay?
Are you calling me a spade, Teddy?
No, I didn't.
Okay. I just want to be clear. I just want to be clear.
Call it like it is, like I said.
Okay.
Your radio
Anyway,
station
so
is-
I guess you're not voting for Trump, huh, Teddy?
and Roberto and all of the right-wing callers.
Teddy, do you want more of what Kamala Harris has given to America? Is that, just say it. Just say it.
Kamala Harris, and I don't care for Trump. I don't care for either candidate. But that's what makes me different from people like you and your radio station
People like
callers,
me,
okay?
me. Why are you attacking me, Teddy? I love you. You're a good guy.
I know.
Huh?
I know you love me, okay? I think you're a good guy. I would still take you out to McDonald's for breakfast.
And I'd still take you out to McDonald's. And guess what? I'd even ask them if they had records if Kamala Harris ever worked there, because I don't really, I'm not buying that story.
Damn where she worked before. I don't care for her policies. I don't care for her
Me
left
either.
policies, but I don't
Me
sure as
either.
hell don't care for a guy like Trump with zero
Well, we can
character.
agree to be different. I'm not demanding that you care for Trump. And I'm not going to call you a spade or anything like that because you don't agree with Donald Trump. Right?
He's a nut job. He's a psychological.
Okay.
He's a psychological.
Teddy, can we calm down the rhetoric and be civil with one another and admit that we're all human beings, we all have flaws, and we should learn to love each other, Teddy, and not be so angry with each other. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, civility
Okay,
applies.
so
to
calm
both
down.
sides, okay.
Okay, so you and I can be civil.
And what
Don't call me
happened
a
in
spade.
Ohio is a fabrication. The woman admitted she lied.
Teddy,
she lied.
you have other people here that are saying it. Are they all liars, Teddy?
You conveniently omit that.
Are they all liars, Teddy? I didn't omit it. The woman that put the post on Facebook said she had heard rumors. And they were rumors. And they were rumors. One person. The other people are saying, we told the commission about the problem. So don't just throw out one and totally ignore the others, Teddy.
No, there was no proof of it. The people, the Haitians eating cats and dogs.
Teddy, do you want to see the decapitated cats? And first of all, the thing started with ducks. They were saying that people were decapitating the ducks and eating the ducks. Then it spun off into cats and dogs. And I felt sorry for the little ducks. I got to tell you, poor little duckies. They didn't even learn how to say Aflac. And they were already being eaten. We got to go to a break, Teddy. I'm sorry. But I love hearing from you. I hope you call again. Please don't wait so long, okay? Okay?
Yeah, okay, Don. Okay.
Thank you. I love you, Teddy. Have a good day. Spade's a spade. Yes. It's Prince on this day, 1984. 2 weeks began in the number one position. This, of course, the opening track for the film Purple Rain. You know the one. James Golden, Snerdley. 800-848-9222. Keep it right here.
The James Golden Show.
Keep it right here, my friends. Our number duo in the can. Our number trio coming up. Princess Di will be here momentarily. You don't want to miss her. Or me. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. Also, we're going to feature some great bumper music. Don't dare go away. You want to keep it right here.
The James Golden Show is on the air with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
Welcome, my friends. Our number trio here on our Saturday morning vibe. James Golden, Bo Snerdley with you. Telephone number 800-848-9222. We are in our number trio. Our number duo, of course, in the can. Of course, you will hear from the one, the only Princess Di, and we'll do that shortly. I'm going to break protocol and take a phone call first, however. I got a note from John Katzimatidis, head honcho, Red Apple Media Networks. I did a story at the top of the show, the very top of the show, before we spent an hour talking about, almost an hour talking about immigration. As you know, Israeli military confirms that the Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah has been killed in a Beirut strike. Then we learned that Iran had called an emergency meeting after that confirmation. Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei is convening a high-level security meeting after Israel launched massive airstrikes in Beirut and wiped out the leader of Hezbollah. John sent me a story. This speaks for itself. Here's the headline. Iran's Supreme Leader has been moved to a safe location as security measures following the elimination of Nasrallah. The Israelis are not playing, folks. Also, you know, there are 3 Iranian cyber actors now on the FBI's most wanted list, cyber attacks, and we know that there are other assassination plots against Donald Trump coming from Iran. It has been a day. As John said, the terrorists are being terrorized. We have a call that I must take. We're breaking protocol. Usually, right after the theme, our very beautiful, wonderful, most knowing Princess Diana. But we have a call in from Springfield, Ohio, and I don't want to take a chance that she will go away. So, Angie from Springfield, Ohio, welcome. You're on with James Golden, Bo Snerdley. How are you, Angie?
Hi. Good morning, sir. How are you? Thank you for the time. And in no way, I would no way compare to any of your other stories here. I'm just a small-time dog groomer in Springfield, Ohio, who owns a small business. And I'll tell you, in the past 3 weeks, I have been almost taken out by people from another country. I can't identify which country, but I would probably think, having lived in South Florida for 25 years, they were Haitian. They didn't speak English. They did understand when I spoke to them in French. I do not speak Creole. And, when I ask them what's wrong or say quel dommage or what happened, I get no response. They have no tags in 2 instances. I had a person almost take me out 3 days ago at North Limestone.
When you say take you out, do you mean in terms of you're driving and that this happens? Explain what you mean by that.
Correct. Driving home from work and driving to work. And I leave usually at 7 a.m. and come home around 8:30 to 9 p.m. So it is at all hours, and it is bad.
All right. Now, we have heard all these reports about what's happening in Springfield. We've heard that Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, why they're horribly racist people because they're said that they apparently made up stories that people are eating domestic animals. And then we heard from other people that complained that the poor little ducks in Springfield are taking a hit. What is going on in Springfield? And then we hear from people that went to these meetings and said that they alerted the city commissioners months ago that there was a problem with domestic pets. There was, and that the commission said, yeah, we know, we've been hearing that. We hear other people saying, people are running around with all kinds of money on EBT cards. They're not American citizens as far as we can tell. What is going on in What's going on in your town?
I don't know. I can't speak to the animal, like the business about the dogs and cats. I can tell you that our attorney general, or a state attorney general, I believe that's Dave Yost, put a Twitter feed out that said, yes, there was a police report of, migrants walking with 4 geese that had been killed under their arms when a guy was going to work in the morning. So that, in fact, is true.
Wait. Hold on, Angie, one more time. What did you just say happened?
There was a report called into the police department by a gentleman who was going to work in the morning that there were 4 migrants walking. And this was on a police scan. And our attorney general did put that online on his Twitter.
Yes.
I highly doubt our attorney general would compromise his integrity and his position he's worked so hard for to say these things. It's not about party line.
What did he say?
About
what did he say happened?
All he said was there was a report by a gentleman who was on his way to work that had seen 4 migrants, each with a goose under each arm. That was a dead goose. So, and I couldn't imagine geese don't taste very good, so, have at it. But that being said, there have been a lot of reports. There was a woman who was hit and killed when she was taking out her garbage in the morning last winter by an under the influence migrant who was never charged, not with anything, not vehicular homicide, nor being under the influence. He was basically let go. There was no charge. And to my knowledge, when you do make a report, like in my instance, I had someone come at me the wrong way with such force, and I went off the road. It forced my mirror backwards because of the geocentrical force of them coming at me so quickly. What happened was when I reported it, and another driver who had also been driven off the road, and he was in a Ford F-150 on the same road. This happened on Labor Day morning. No, I mean, it scared me to death. I looked like I had palsy afterward. I was shaking so bad. I was really scared. And I don't scare easy. But anyway, it scared me. When the police finally came, which was 20 minutes later, he said to me, do you want me to write a report? Your damage isn't that bad. What's your deductible? I said $1,000. I said, I would rather that you try to find this person before they kill someone. Because they were coming at me at clearly well over 80 miles an hour.
Oh, goodness. So, needless to say, life in Springfield has changed dramatically over the past few years. Is that what we're hearing?
It's gotten to be very exciting, yes. Not the
exciting?
kind of excitement most old people want. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, do you think that so what do you think? Do you think that maybe some of these stories coming out of Springfield have been exaggerated, or do you think that maybe there's an element of truth in some? What do you make of all of this?
I think that there are some people who would, I guess, just to get attention, would give a story. I think there's other people who would probably tell the truth. And I don't know if you're aware. Maybe you can look it up online. You guys are the professionals. I'm not. A sheriff in Tremont City was cut off from the Springfield police feed. And this was after all these threats, because there apparently were threats made to City Hall. There were bomb threats made to schools. Colleges were closed down, and that's not a good thing. You know,
that's
nobody wants that. That's a horrible thing. And that puts the fear of God into people. You know, I mean, when people have to get rid of all of their children from the school and have them sent home after they've just, you know, started their school day, to have every parent come from work and pick up their child because they can't be released to anybody else, this is a big deal. You know, so there's a lot of problems around this entire situation. And I think rather than finger pointing, if we would just enforce the laws on the books, it would be just that simple.
Enforce the laws. Now, one last question for you, Anthony. I appreciate your time. Is it fair to say that the influx of such a large number of immigrants, and I'm not saying illegal or legal, but just the influx of such a large number has impacted that town and caused a degree of chaos? Is that a fair statement?
I would say it's about the same as what's going on in New York City. Maybe not as much violence, but about the same thing. Yeah. Because you can't expect people with no understanding of our cultures and norms and laws to just acclimate. And these people have not been vetted. We don't even know who they are.
Yeah. Do you trust Kamala Harris when she says she's going to fix all of this?
Oh, gosh. What do you say in New York? Do you want to buy a bridge?
Angie, thank you for giving us.
I have a dog in the tub.
Okay, a dog in the tub. Absolutely. Take care of the dog. By all means, get to that dog now. Thank you, Angie. Appreciate it. Hope to hear back from you. James Golden, a.k.a. Snerdley. Yes, 800-848-WABC. Here's what we're going to do, folks. Today is the anniversary of the release of Songs in the Key of Life. It was Stevie's 18th studio album, an ambitious project, double album. Yielded so many Grammy Awards, debuted at #1 on the charts on this day in 1976. So we're going to visit the iconic Songs in the Key of Life this hour with our bumper music. Coming up, the one, the only, Princess Di.
Then makes me weak and knocks me off my feet. There's something about your love that makes me weak and knocks me off my feet. Knocks me off my feet.
The James Golden Show. The James Golden Show. It's politics, but theater of the mind with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley. It's time for Radio Royalty with James Golden and America's Princess of Policy, Princess Di.
Yes, my friends, in a world where princesses are princesses, sirs are sirs, and I got callers talking about spades while I'm on, we turn to the voice of sanity and reason. who has yet to deliver her speech apologizing for being... anyway, the one, the only, Her Royal Highnessness, royalnessness of all, our beloved Princess Diana. Princess Di, welcome. How are you this morning?
Oh, Sir James, doing very well and always wonderful to hear you, and your show is fantastic. I just wanted to add to your caller's information that the police scanner in Springfield, Ohio, has shut down. They are no longer making that hearable to the public because it was very inconvenient, the information of people reporting things and calling into the police. So that tells you right there that information is dangerous to the left, and that a lot of what is being told by the people on the ground, the people who live there, is the truth.
Oh, goodness me. Now, Princess Diana, at your urging, and I had been unaware of it, I took a gander at a column in the New York Times written by Thomas B. Edsall. The Mystery of Donald Trump. Please tell us about this.
Well, it's interesting. The current title by Thomas B. Edsall, our old friend, and I will remind you why in a minute, but the current title is The Real Trump Mystery. But the original title, which I saw before they changed it, was Trump is an Open Book for Closed Minds. So
yes.
That tells you right there the basic approach, and that really didn't go over apparently. And their own reader said, "Hey, that's mean," so they changed it to a mystery, the real Trump mystery. But I want to remind you, and I'm sure you remember, because we remember Rush talking about the first column that he noticed and made a very, very much a part of the conversation was the column by Thomas B. Edsall, November 27, 2011. That's 23 years ago. And the title was The Future of the Obama Coalition. And Edsall reported straight news from the Democrat strategist. This is his quote. For the first time, Democrats will explicitly abandon the white working class. This column was about a deliberate Obama strategy to not even try to persuade white working class voters to work for him. And that was a huge part of the Democrat constituency, with union members and, many working class members were many years pro-Democrat. It was called the party of the little guy for many years, and that the Republicans were smeared as the party of the rich. And so they accumulated a lot of voters who believed that. The party of the little guy, I'm the little guy. Well, Obama decided he didn't want that group in his coalition, and so he replaced them. And the word is used in the column. It's replaced by well-educated, socially liberal whites in alliance with the growing ranks of less affluent minority voters, especially Hispanic. So that was the strategy in 2011. And the party itself spent no energy, no money, and they basically dismissed and started hating the group that they decided weren't part of their team anymore. And so now we have, 23 years later, the results of that. And Thomas B. Edsall and all of the people he quotes in there cannot understand the connection that Trump has with his voters. They have to dismiss, as Hillary did, that these are basically just a bunch of deplorable, racist, conspiracy. I mean, you go through it, I'm sure you saw.
Oh, yeah.
The basic contempt that entire mindset has toward Americans. And it's no longer just relegated to racially, but, the working class voters who Trump is appealing to is multiracial. And so, but that doesn't stop the prejudices of the writing class, who basically, remember in many years ago, the dismissal was similar. Voters had a tantrum, and it was the result of angry white males. They are still believing that. It is just stupid people. It is just, prejudiced white males who are leaving their clutches and supporting the Republicans. And this started pre-Trump. And this quote from the 2011 column, the Republican Party has become the party of the white working class. So they are blaming Trump for being a unique authoritarian demagogue, and that's the only reason people like him. And this process started, as Trump has said, the movement is not just him. He is the first candidate who loves the American people of all groups and has reached out and said, vote for me. And he has chosen issues that matter to people in America, rather than this group of sneering intellectuals who basically call Trump voters because they are motivated by ignorance.
We're going to pick up with this, Princess Di, when we return, so stay right where you are. James Golden, Snerdley, it's our Saturday vibe. Your calls are also coming up. Keep it right here. Don't you dare. And I know you don't want to, but don't dare go away. Coming right back.
The James Golden Show. It's politics, but theater of the mind with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
Celebrating, of course, the anniversary of Stevie's 18th studio release, the double album, Songs in the Key of Life. This is one of my favorites from that album, Nicolela. Of course, that is not an English word. The first verse of the song is Swahili. The second verse is Spanish, and then the rest of the song, English. I binged on this song when it first came out. I must have played this song about 20 times straight. It's so beautiful. James Golden with you. Princess Di is here. We will rejoin Princess Di. Just listen to this for a moment. Songs in the Key of Life. Stevie Wonder, James Golden, Bo Snerdley. It's our Saturday morning vibe.
To me came this melody, so I tried to put in words how I feel. Tomorrow will be for you and me.
Singing of love from the heart. Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life. Let's start singing from love from our hearts. Princess Di. It is not Love from the Heart with Thomas Edsel. That column is remarkable. The way that Trump people are casting, we hear this over and over again. There are a bunch of conspiracy theories. As you said, he makes notion, and it's not just white men, they're black men. They're black men whose status is threatened, that need chaos too. And it just goes on and on and on and on and on. One of the things that, as you know, Rush used to talk about is this bond that exists between Donald Trump and the people that support them and support Donald Trump, support the things that Donald Trump is talking about that. There is evidence of that, I think, in something else you sent me, which are the latest Gallup findings on favorability. Talk to us about all of that, please.
Yes, I really want to talk about the latest Gallup, but I just want to add to what you just said, that the Thomas Edsall quote, down at the bottom of the column, he notes, loyalty is crucial to Trump's success. He has a base of support, 43 to 45%, that sticks with him through good and bad times. So that is exactly what you were just saying, and it is a wonderful thing that they on the left do not understand the connection that Trump has with his supporters, so that they are running against a caricature. They are running against a not true image of who the voters are, who their opposition is. So they'll never be able to win. They'll never get it right if they get who we are wrong and why we support him. They are just lost. So bringing back the Gallup poll, the latest Gallup poll, which is so exciting. I am not necessarily a poll person, but this is wonderful because Gallup has done a historic connection in context with this particular number. For the first time since 1992, the party identification has Republicans 3 points up. That means when people are asked, what party do you most identify with? Are you a Democrat or a Republican? Democrats always win that. They always have. There are more people who say they're Democrats, and that is historically true. But for the first time since 1992, when they actually asked that question this way, Republicans are 48% of the electorate, and Democrats only 45%. And if that's true, which I believe it, because Gallup poll has large numbers and large history, and they're very solid polling outfit, that means every other poll you're seeing, most of which have old numbers of 3% more Democrats that they're surveying. That means that you can add 6 points to most polls that you're seeing because they have it 3% the wrong way, and they have taken away 3% from the Republican vote. So you have to add both those together. If there are 3% more Republicans and they're measuring 3% more Democrats, all their polls are off 6 points. So Trump is already ahead in many of the battleground states, and even at parity or tied nationally in the popular vote, which is also unusual. The other part of that Gallup poll, which is very encouraging, is that when asked which party better is able to handle the most important problems, Republicans are 5 points ahead. This is a poll that goes back to 1948 and is 100% accurate, that the party that is seen as handling better the most important issues of the day, and in this case, it's the economy and immigration. The Republicans are up 5. Every single election year where they ask people what's the most important problem, and the results were favoring the party that party would win the election. So this is unusual. There's a huge historic precedent for being very encouraged with this Gallup poll. First of all, there are more and more Republicans. People aren't identifying as Democrats because they are so liberal and leftist, and a lot of them seen as commies. And then second of all, the issues that matter to people are the very issues the Republicans are strongest on. So that, combined with the fact that the left doesn't get why we are supporting Trump, is very encouraging news.
Let me ask you one last question, Princess Di. Has Kamala Harris made a political blunder by going to the border and putting immigration back into the consciousness of the electorate so close before the election.
Yes, and it added to that, the acting ICE director, at the same day she went to the border, came out and gave these stats, which are unbelievable. 13,000 convicted murderers were released knowingly into the United States, 15,000 convicted rapists, 60,000 convicted robbers. Altogether, over half a million criminals who have been convicted of crimes in their home countries have been released into the United States. And that story, although it was spiked by ABC and CBS, is everywhere. That fact that he came out with that statistic at the same day that she went down there, that really put the kibosh on any positive that she thought she would gain. And also, what she had to say was so obviously deceitful. So I think it was a mistake to put it on, but people were already voting on that issue. So it was a really fortuitous thing that she did for our side.
Wow. I know I said one last thing, but I have one other thing I just want, and this is totally off this. On Tuesday, Jimmy Carter, if he lives a few days longer, will turn 100 years old. Born in 1924. Now, you know, Jimmy Carter was not as a president, it wasn't anywhere near as disastrous as what we have now, but sure. I don't think he was the best president that we have. But I will tell you something, I have been impressed beyond belief with Jimmy Carter's post-presidency, for the most part. The political stuff aside, because Democrats are Democrats. But the stuff that he did with Habitat with Humanity and with some of these other things, I think has just been marvelous. And do you have any thoughts about Jimmy Carter that you want to share with us as we wind it down?
I agree with you. I think that he is a believer, and when he ran for office, put the term born-again Christian on the map. A lot of people didn't know what that was, and he was proudly a follower of Jesus. And so his good works stem from that. And so, yes, I agree with you. 100 years is a wonderful legacy and a time to appreciate his moral aspect of his life. Also, Tuesday is the vice presidential debate, so don't forget that.
I will not. In fact, I'm going to invite you on Wednesday so we can talk about that. But again, good. So let's do that. Princess Di, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Sir James.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a break so that we can devote the rest of the program to your calls. We have people that have been holding here the entire show. We're going to get to them. We're going to get to you. And whatever's on your mind, 800-848-9222. As we celebrate songs in the key of life. Anniversary today. James Golden, Bo Snerdley, it's our Saturday morning vibe. This a tribute to the legacy of some of the giants in music. Music royalty. Sir Duke, Stevie Wonder on Bo Snerdley. Saturday vibe. Keep it right here.
But you can tell right away in Dr. A when the people start to move. They can feel it all over. They can feel it all over.
The James Golden Show. The James Golden Show. It's politics, but theater of the mind with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
Around the sun, the earth
Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life. This one is one of the most amazing songs on the album. That's Herbie Hancock on the keyboards in the back, one of the keyboards. The song As we celebrate Songs in the Key of Life, and we head back to the telephones here on Bo Snerdley's Saturday Morning Vibe. Let's go to Angelina in New York City. Angelina, how are you?
Hi, James. How are you? Thank you for picking up the call. Thank you for your time.
You're quite welcome, darling. What's on your mind today?
Yes, I'm Venezuelan. I've been living here in this country. I married an American guy from Brooklyn, great designer. And it breaks my heart to see New York City. I've been living here for 26 years in decline, totally decline. The immigrants that we are supporting with our tax money are criminals. They're taking our funds. I cannot go to Central Park because they're stealing everything from you. I cannot get into the subway. I'm terrified to get into the subway. So the damage that this administration has done to this country is beyond. And look at all the states. Look at San Francisco. Why we not help the American people? They are in the street, the homeless, the people who need help for an addiction. Why are we helping criminals? This is my question. I'm not buying this, what the she has your study. She's going to fix now when she needs the vote, Kamala? What was she was doing in the 4 years of administration, James? That's my question. Where was she?
She was being hidden because they didn't want her out in public. That's where she was. They kept her under wraps. And they are still trying to keep her under wraps because they're afraid that if she goes off script too much, they will lose power. And everything that you have said is a testimony to exactly the stakes in this election, Angelina. I want you to call us again. I want us to keep this message going of you. You have so much credibility. And by the way, this is one important point. As you said, you are here legally. And I think that there are many immigrants that are here legally. And we love you. And we want you. You are our fellow American, Angelina. We
love this country. I love America. I love this country. And it's heartbreaking to see all these criminals. All these criminals, they are not coming here to build this country like the old immigrants that came here, wanted to work, wanted to build. These are people who are waiting for us to support them. There will be few that want to work and see the American dream. But let me tell you, the damage is so far that I don't know what they're going to do to fix this problem. We got a major problem with criminals people in United States, and you're going to make them Americans? I mean, honestly, you cannot have an idea the dangers of the people that coming from jails. They are here in this country. I cannot believe.
And many Americans cannot believe it either. Angelina, thank you. We hope to hear from you again. Thank you so much. Susan has been waiting all program. Thank you, Susan. How are you?
Okay, I'm going to get right into it, James. I've heard you talk about it, about the 300,000, over 300,000 immigrant children that are lost, and some of them now through Department of Health and Human Services, whistleblowers have come up, and there's been Senate hearings about this. This is not any kind of exaggeration. And they have found that some of these children, through whistleblowers, have ended up in households with MS-13, and I won't even describe some of the things that they found of the way these children are being mistreated and sexually abused day in and day out. One said a 12-year-old boy who has to wear diapers, okay? This is outrageous. These are crimes against humanity under Harris's administration. She didn't breathe a word of it that I could hear. I am so livid, upset that this is happening right in our backyard. And there's 40 senators that are on this, but it's not changing right now. These kids, as we speak, what is happening to them?
What is happening to them is that these children have been put up as fodder. They are being ignored by the people that are tasked with their well-being. They are useless to these people because they don't fit a narrative that is convenient politically. The sex trafficking is an industry, and these children are part of that industry. We know, this is factual, that many of these children are coming over the border with people claiming to be their relatives, and they are not their relatives. They are from the cartel. This is human bondage. We have it going on in America right now, thanks to the open border policies of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. And just like Angelique just mentioned, why is this happening? Yes, people, ask yourself, why is this happening? You get one hint of it when you look at states like Oregon, where they've admitted, first they said, we only have a few hundred people that were registered to vote that are not citizens in your country. Now that number has increased. The mainstream press says it's not a problem. Then why won't the Democrats commit to legislation that closes every single loophole that is allowed? Why are the Democrats saying, oh, yes, let's let illegals vote in municipal elections? Because they know. Why is this happening? It's about political power. That's why it's happening. And there's a secondary cause why all of this is happening. All of it. It's called evil. Songs in the Key of Life we leave you with today. Stevie Wonder. This album was iconic, is iconic. One of my favorite songs. You see all the stress, all the turmoil around the world. And we do need, more than anything else in this world, more love. May God bless each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude, my friends, for your being here with me and allowing me to be with you. God willing, we're back next week, same time, same station. Until then, I bid you adieu. Bye.
To make you its possession, and it will if we